Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Jenny's Cannabis Connection. I am Jenny and I am here in Tempe, Arizona, where the recreational sales of cannabis is legal for those that are 21 and older. So if you're just now joining in, one of the things I do is go around to different dispensaries. I pick up different products, I test them out, I let you guys know a little bit about what it's good for, and normally I throw in a little bit of maybe a book I'm reading, or I'll do a different review of something else. So I want to jump right in this evening and let you guys know that I ran on down to a local joint and I picked up some cream Soma. So this happens to be a hybrid. It is an indica and sativa mix. It is 80% indica and 20% sativa. Now, I've already broken part of the bud up, but I wanted to show you guys. It's got these beautiful pink colored hairs in it. And this is going to be indica dominant, so it is going to be a really strong pain reliever. This is really good for depression and stress and anxiety, because it's going to give us that super uplifting feeling that will combat those. And then that indica will be great for pain because it's going to bring you down, and it's going to be very, very relaxing. And oftentimes it is used like a sedative would be for insomnia and things like that. Now, I went ahead and loaded my bubbler that I had got down at high maintenance the other day when I went. And I want to remind you guys that we are having a giveaway. So please do light up that like button, subscribe, share me with your friends, please. You guys will be choosing a winner, and I will hit you up on either Instagram or on Facebook. You can follow me there. It's Instagram is Jen AK 0420, and I'm Jenny Kilgore, of course, on Facebook. So please go and find me there as well. Now we're going to go ahead and hit this bubbler and fire up this bowl, and I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about what it tastes like. But we're going to go ahead and jump into this particular episode because it's going to be a little bit different, and we have a lot of information to go through. So let's go ahead and light up this bowl, guys. It does have a very sweet taste. It also has like a strawberry, maybe like a strawberry cream flavor. You do get hints of pine. So it's really earthy. I really enjoyed this strain a lot. We don't have a lot left. So what I wanted to talk to you guys tonight is when I'm on Facebook and I'm talking to friends that I've known for quite a while, they will at times throw things at me like, hey Jenny, why don't you do one on something scary, or why don't you do something on a serial killer, or why don't you do one on something like that. So what I decided to do was I decided I would start researching the state of Arizona. And I do watch Bailey Sarion, and I'm a huge, I subscribe and I share her on my Facebook page. I follow her on Instagram. I really, really love her, and I don't want to of course, this is kind of like me paying homage to her, I guess you could say, because what I'm going to talk about tonight is an idea that my friend Iris gave me, and she is actually located in Florida. So hi Iris, this is for you. She's always sending me cool ideas, but what I thought I would do is I was going to look up serial killers, and I had no idea, as you probably don't either, and Iris, I bet you didn't either, that Arizona has tons of them. I don't know if it's the heat, I don't know if it's the water. You guys have a lot. I dug through so many documentaries and so many YouTube videos and so many news reports to find, I don't know, my first day of research I found 15 or 16. That doesn't necessarily exclude that Jodi Arias, that whole fiasco went on in Mesa, just right down the road from me. And the baseline killers, they were we had some serial shooters. Arizona has had a lot. You guys have dealt with a lot. I feel so bad for you guys. And we're all kind of packed in here together. Whether you live in Tempe, you're really not that far from Mesa. You're really not that far from Phoenix. You're really not that far from Scottsdale. Coming from Mississippi, where towns are 30 and 45 minutes apart, and you don't even blink at that. In 45 minutes, you'll be in Scottsdale. So this was just kind of an insane story that I came across in my research, and this happens to be on a guy named Robert William Pfister, I think is his name. Guys, okay, he is on the FBI's most wanted. He is a fugitive. They are offering $100,000 for any information that will lead to his arrest and his conviction. He is accused of murdering his family and using an explosion to cover up his crime. So let me jump right in this, and Iris, you just hang on to your britches, because this is intense. Okay, April 10th, 2001. In Scottsdale, Arizona, 911 calls start rolling in, and they're like, hey, this house is on fire. There was an explosion. The neighbor's house is going to catch on fire. You guys have to get out here. You know. So, of course, 911 was like bombarded. So they start rushing guys out there, and they are telling the callers, hey, we've got people coming. We've got people coming, right? Okay, so what ended up happening is once the firemen were able to put out the fire, they recovered this woman named Mary Pfister's body and their two children's body. Brittany was 12 and Bobby was 10. They also found out that Mary had been shot in the back of the head, and both of the children's throats had been slit from ear to ear, and they were nearly decapitated. The gas line to the house was actually broken off, and there was a candle that had been rigged to ignite the gas in the house at in a delayed manner. Accelerants were also used throughout the house. Okay, so that was on April 10th that all this went down. 4 days later, April 14th, Pfister was actually named as a suspect. So now in these 4 days, like, the pastor of the church came out, Mary's father came out. They were just like, something's happened to Robert. They've taken Robert. Robert would never do anything wrong. He was such a good man. They were all hoodwinked. The pastor had to go back, and their church had to do like some management, some damage control. And Mary's father was just hoodwinked with the person that he thought his daughter had married. Okay. So on April 14th, he was named a suspect. April 20th, Mary's 2000 silver 4Runner was found in a remote part of Tonto National Forest. It's north of Payson, Arizona. This is the last known whereabouts of Robert. This is it. On July 19th, arrest warrants were actually issued on 3 counts of murder, 1 count of arson, and he was declared a fugitive. Now, in July of 2016, the Scottsdale PD and the FBI released like age progression photos of what he would look like, and at that time, and this is, now we're in 2021, but he still remains a fugitive today. Now, upon interviewing some of the people that had been involved with Robert and his family, said that, they said that he was a talker and he was a bragger, and he was also a narcissist, and that he also did have the survival skills. They had a family dog that would go with Robert when he would go on his little hunting expeditions, and he would go out to the mountains by himself and camp and do things like that. There were people that actually said in their interviews that he loved the dog more than he loved his family. So he wouldn't go anywhere without Blue. But the crazy thing about it is when they found Mary's truck, her Blue was with her truck. Now, this dog was trained to listen. So when Robert said stay. They believe that the dog stayed exactly where he was supposed to. He was not tied up. He had been running free, but he was there with the truck. Also, beside the truck was human feces. Now, as I started digging into this, and started watching like the reporters and people that had done interviews with some of the people that were involved with Robert, said that Robert he's ex-military. So he is trained to survive on little to nothing. And he was in extremely good shape, but he was a bragger and he was a talker. And they also had said that there were 3 caves that were very close to Mary's truck. Now, I have not been to this area yet, so I was just dumbfounded when I started reading about it. But they said Mary's truck's here. They only were able to search 1 square mile. There were 3 caves that were nearby Mary's truck. They chose the one that they thought that he would be most likely to be in, and they sent cameras in. They sent cadaver dogs in. They had kind of suspected, some people still believe, that he actually committed suicide, but they never found his body. But what was crazy is when I was listening to another reporter talk about this particular story, he said that there were those 3 caves, 6 caves within walking distance, and another 30 caves in that area. Now, they did have to call off the search because the weather conditions had started to get really, really horrible. I mean, it was raining, there was snow, so they called it off. But when they got into Mary's car and they were processing her vehicle, they actually found out that there were no fingerprints in this car. This car had been immaculately cleaned out. There was nothing in the car. There was DNA on his hat that he had left behind, but that was it. You would expect to find Mary's DNA in that vehicle. You would expect maybe to find a kid's DNA in that vehicle. You would expect to find something. Nothing. And someone had also made the statement that there didn't seem to be any premeditation. Just keep that in mind, because guys, I kind of have a theory about this, okay? Because I love crime stuff as much as the next person, but I sometimes take it too far. Okay. So, they also found this out, that there was a group at one time that had gone hunting with Robert, and they actually said that it seemed to them that he didn't enjoy hunting, he enjoyed the killing. He enjoyed the killing, and that's a lot different than going hunting and things like that. Okay, so these guys were all out hunting with Robert, and they kill an elk, and an elk is huge. Okay, so they get it back to the place where they're like cutting it up and they're gutting it, and it's really gross or whatever. Okay, it's bad enough. They look over at Robert, and Robert is smearing this blood all over his body. Super gross. These are hunters. These are manly men. And they were like, hey, we're not going hunting with him again. Okay. So, they just decided that they were never going to hunt with Robert again, but they did tell the authorities about this because this is odd behavior. And it just seemed like it was looming. They also said, that they believe, like there are professionals out there that believe that he is far too narcissistic to kill himself, because he is like, he's so controlling, and that the reason that he took a dump beside Mary's vehicle is to like give the authorities and give everybody like the ultimate finger, right? Now around let me start over. The neighbors had said that they had heard them fighting that night, the evening before. At some point, Robert leaves in her vehicle and shows up at an ATM within 1 mile of their house. He only drew out $260. But think back, there was a time when they put that limit at pretty low at what you could withdraw, your maximum withdrawal for a 24-hour period. So a detective actually pointed that out in a different documentary that I had actually watched about Robert Fisher, and they also talked about, it showed him on camera and it showed him in Mary's vehicle. They have a lot of theories that he had help and that someone might have been with him. And I don't know. There's also other people that believe that he could possibly be living in Mexico right now. Somewhere, he didn't take his birth certificate. He didn't take anything with him. And so where would be a place that you could go where most everything is in cash and you don't have to have a birth certificate? He could be working anywhere. It is... they also believe that it is very possible that he could be living with a woman right now. They also said that he's like an average good-looking guy. He's unsuspecting and he's not going to stand out. He's going to easily blend in because he's just a fella. But he will be controlling. He will be dominant. He will be outdoorsy. He is going to go and hunt. He is going to go and be by himself. And there was a reporter who, I wish I could remember who she was with, but she had been reporting on this case for a long time from the beginning, and she had even said that she believed that it was absolutely possible that he could be living with somebody right now, them have kids, and this woman be watching America's Most Wanted or one of these other shows and be like, oh, well, that couldn't possibly be him because he's so good to my kids. And it was so eerie the way she said it. It freaked me out a little bit. And she was like, but that woman needs to remember he was good to his own kids. And look what he's capable of. So this guy's been missing now for 20 years. The FBI gets 400 leads at one point a day or better of sightings of this guy. He's been sighted in Mexico. He's been sighted in Guatemala. He's been sighted in the U.S., all over the place, other countries. There was actually a man who was detained in Canada. He had the same scar on his back. He was missing the same tooth that they said Robert had a gold tooth. It was the exact same tooth he was missing. And they ended up having to do fingerprints and have this man's mother come down to the authorities and say, this is not Robert Pfister because this is my son. And they, in Canada, they already had his fingerprints in their database because he had already committed some crimes. So they were just like, this can't be him, this can't be him. Now, remember how I said that they found like no premeditation to all this? Okay. I tend to disagree. Just hear me out, if he was ex-military and he was skilled and he was a survivalist and he also was out there all the time and he was alone with Blue 90% of the time that he went, then I tend to think that this might have been a long time coming and that they had problems in their marriage and things weren't as rosy as they made them out to be, maybe in the public's eye. Even with Mary's family, her dad was like completely unaware, it seemed like, that there were any major issues going on in that house or in that marriage. So everybody was fooled for the most part. But I think there came a point where Mary was ready to get a divorce. And instead of getting a divorce where he might lose something, he could give up everything and just disappear and start all over again. And I think that's what he did. I think he took plenty of time. I think there was 100 times that he went out there, especially if he was alone on his weekend trips, that he could have been scaling those mountains. He could have been in different caves. He could have gone here and there and found nooks and crannies that law enforcement may not even think to look at or even have access to, because you never really know what somebody's capable of until they're prepared to do it. And I just tend to think that he either waited or he snapped on her and he shot her in the head Now, I personally think that it went like this. I think he shot her in the head. I think he slit the kids' throats. I think he went then to the ATM. Then he comes back. And that's when he puts the accelerant in the house. And then the very last thing he does is light that candle to leave that house knowing that gas is fixing to fill the entire house. He doesn't care about his neighbors. He doesn't care about anybody else. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all hell breaks loose and Scottsdale's lit. And it was a very nice neighborhood that they were in, and they had a beautiful home. And from the outside, the people that knew them, you know, things were good. And I just tend to think that he might have been thinking about this for a minute. I just really don't think that he snapped and just did it. I think he snapped, but I think that he was very well aware of like where he was going, what he was doing, what he needed to take with him. How do we know that in one of those 40 something plus caves that he didn't have supplies waiting on him, non-perishable items? You know, he knows. I mean, I tend to think that maybe sometimes they don't give this particular guy enough credit, because I heard it one of two ways. I mean, like, there were some agents and detectives that were like, no, he's not dead. I'm going to tell you right now, he's not dead. He's a narcissist. He's not going to kill himself. That would be giving up. He didn't just go in a cave and blow his brains out. That's not what happened. His ass took off somewhere. He got down to the border. He crossed over, and he's never looked back. And I think that he's probably using women and bouncing from woman to woman. If he hasn't already killed somebody again, we don't know because we can't find him. And I think that we're going to find out a whole lot more. I think that he will be found. I do believe this. Even after 20 years, I think he'll be found. But I just don't see, with his background, I just don't see any reason not to really lean toward the fact that there is very possibly someone out there that's watching these stories and listening and hearing, you know, and knows what happened, is going to look over one day and he's going to be sitting right there. And maybe he's drinking a margarita, or maybe he's hanging out on a boat, or maybe he's hunting, or maybe he's doing something else. And they're going to recognize him, and they're going to turn him in, and they're going to be $100,000 richer. This was only one of a lot of stories that I found when I was researching. Please make sure that I wish I could upload some photographs and stuff for you guys so you can see this guy. You can always Google him. Google the FBI's most wanted, because he is not the only person from Arizona that is on that list. I think the next time I meet with you guys, I might share another story coming out of the state of Arizona. So I appreciate you guys hanging with me and chilling with me. If you like what I'm doing, please light up that like button, subscribe, comment, please. I know I've got some people from Arizona following me. If you guys have lived through some of this stuff or know what it was like, please hit me up. Please comment down below. Let me know. I am going to be talking about some other guys. If you know of a super crazy story from here in Arizona, hit me up in the comment section and let me know. I may do some research on it, and I may use it like I did with my beautiful friend Iris. If you throw me an idea, I'll probably shoot it on out there, because I really wasn't sure what extra content I was going to put in. Again, I did not mean for this video to be so long. I appreciate you guys hanging in with me. You have a blessed evening. Take care of yourself. Pick up some cream Soma if you get a chance from local, and you guys have a blessed evening. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share me with your friends so you can be entered in to win the high maintenance giveaway that's sponsoring me. So please, guys, I love you guys. Be safe. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again really soon. Bye.